Okay, welcome to the Paddle and Foil Show. I'm Will, this is Ruben, and this is Bo. This is a brand new show that we are having to play around with, really.
Yeah.
What's it all about? Well, we're going to cover all sorts of things which should be relevant to whatever you do in paddleboarding or foiling, I suppose.
Lots of stuff.
So yeah, we're going to cover news, we're going to share our opinions on some of the latest news that's coming out. We're going to be looking at trends, what's going on. We've got a pretty good eye into the industry, so we're going to give our thoughts and opinions on that, as well as trying to predict the future.
Oh, yes.
Obviously. Yeah, so it's covering loads of stuff, but really importantly, we're also going to share with you some of our best, most popular sort of questions that we get asked through SUPboarder Pro, which is the subscription side of SUPboarder. Some of the best questions that come in as part of that to help all of you guys improve, really, because some of those questions are relevant to lots more people than just the people that ask them.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, SUPboarder Pro, if you're not aware of that or not being a member, it is basically the next level of SUPboarder content. There's loads of stuff on there, all different abilities and levels, covering everything from SUP, foil, paddleboard, just a lot of stuff, a lot of head-to-head tests. And it's definitely, if you're into the sport of supping or foiling, it's definitely something well worth subscribing to.
Just loads of extra content and support as well.
Support, yeah. It pays for us to have a job. Pays for us to pay for Bo to go to Australia.
Yeah, there you go.
And for him to come back and feel all cold.
Yeah, that's right. It's cold.
It's not. It's,
You're in a t-shirt. Yeah, you're in a
it's
t-shirt.
warm today.
It's freezing in here.
Tell you what, I've got something for Bo.
Have you?
Oh,
Because
yes.
he's been
Jacket.
he's been out and about.
Jacket.
I took the liberty
Oh,
of making a hot water bottle.
look at that.
It's warm.
It is warm too.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Just because I knew, like,
You can't be
often I see
shit.
him shivering away in the studio, and you know,
Thanks, mate.
as an
Yeah.
Australian
It's a good little
in
hand
the UK,
warmer,
he's
actually.
very much out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Perfect.
it about an hour ago. So
It is actually warm.
It is warm.
You
Yeah,
said he
yeah.
was going to do it. I thought he was joking, but
Thanks,
you have
Will.
actually done it.
Appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And he actually knitted that as well.
You did. Wow.
Yeah.
Love
that's
it.
what I do. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So welcome. Anyway, like, where should we start?
Bo, then, what do you want to talk about news, Bo?
Yeah, let's
What do you
jump straight into some industry news because there's a lot's been happening in the last few months since we all sat down together and had a chat.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things, Blue Ewer, one of the UK's top racers, six-time national champion. He's just signed with NSP. He's jumped ship from JP Australia. And
Jump
he'll be
board.
yeah.
Jump ship. Sorry, yeah.
Yep, and then jump board. Yeah, there you go. And then, so he'll be running for NSP this year, which is really exciting. He's got a pretty busy year ahead from what we've heard from Blue. And Blue's actually going to be coming in and doing some videos with us around racing and
yeah.
technique and all of that. So you'll be able to look forward to that coming out on SUPboarder. What do you guys think of NSP and
it's-
Blue? And
Yeah.
I mean, NSP have really they've been up there, haven't they, for a long time? And they really are putting those designs out there. And I think from Blue's point of view, coming from JP Australia had some good shapes, good brand, but I don't think they had the support and the boards that really wanted to,
Yeah.
challenge the
I think Blue's a talent, and then you've got to keep an eye on him. He's focused. He's very professional. He's an absolute whippet on the race course. And JP probably lost a good one there.
Yeah, focused is the word I think you should put it on that. I'm amazed. Yeah, the amount of training he does.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't be a racer because I have no.
Yeah.
But yeah, no NSP. So he's going to train with them in New Caledonia. Is that one of their bases, isn't it?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, be really good. Yeah, a really strong team of riders on NSP now.
Yeah.
Obviously, starting in the early days, Travis Grant was a big name to sign up with NSP.
Yeah.
Tituan Poyo, he's a big racer as well. And then Christian Anderson, Polar Bear.
Of course. Yeah.
He's joined NSP.
And he's jumped ship from Fnatic.
Is there anything else going on sort of in the transfer market with SUP racers at the moment? It's kind of season where people move brands. Is there anything else hot?
Well, StarBoard's released their Dream Team for 2023. Some of the big names are still with them. I think it's more the young up-and-comers that are really moving toward different brands and trying to figure out the market.
Yeah. Do we think it's going to be a bit of a head-to-head between NSP and Starboard this year? Because Starboard have kind of been pretty dominant. NSP's always been there, isn't it? But do you think we're going to see a big clash of the big guys?
I think we will, definitely. I think it's going to be a great bit of rivalry between the brands because Starboard, Connor Baxter, Michael Booth, they've got some really big names on their team
and they're
for
still
racing.
right up there. They're
Exactly.
not, about to give up.
That's the thing. But, a little bit older. You've got, Blue, as we've been mentioning. He's a young racer coming up, and then Christian Anderson, he's been doing really well on these other race boards. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, exciting. It's cool to see the new generation coming through, and it's good to see some really solid teams, because one of the things that I think would be really exciting to see in SUP racing is like teams working together on the race course.
That's a whole different.
So it's like you see that in cycling so much, and it adds this amazing element to it. And I wonder how long it's going to be before we see that type of side to it.
Whole different conversation. But that is is it going to happen? What else has been going on?
Well, just quickly, another new race format, the last paddle of standing. That was a brand new event that happened in December of 2022.
Yeah.
It's basically who can paddle the longest. But you start on a 5 kilometer lap on the hour, and you got to paddle that lap within an hour, then you start again on the next hour. So.
And how long do you get to break for?
Well, it depends. You could do that lap in 58 minutes, you get a 2-minute rest, or you could do it in 45 minutes and get a 15-minute rest and then start again on that hour.
Okay.
And then you just keep doing that until the last person standing.
And the last person standing was something like crazy, like
so
40.
I think it was Paolo Marconi.
Yeah.
He did 48 hours.
Hero!
48 laps. Yeah. But then I spoke to Brendan Prince on an interview recently, because he did the event as well. And he was saying that at the 48 lap mark, on the 49th lap, it jumps up in distance. So it actually goes up to 5 miles. Yeah. And he said
that's a bit mean.
Yeah, that's a bit mean. But you still have to do it within the hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a really good different take on an endurance event. Like the stopping, starting must blow your mind as an athlete.
And that's all on a set quite close a lake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on a lake. Yeah. So
not that the spectator sport is going to be epic. 5 hours for that.
I don't know if you watch the live feed.
Did they
from
put
SUP Racer.
crocodiles and stuff in there? That would make it really interesting.
There are like alligators in there. So you obviously listen to the chat.
I did listen to the chat, but I want them chasing after the. Yeah, okay, it's probably not the right thing to say, but get them in there.
Yeah, no, there are in there snakes, alligators. Brendan was saying he was paddling with a head torch on.
I did,
and he'd he'd see some shines of eyes and some slithers and things at night.
Oh man,
yeah, crazy.
Was he paddling an ice up?
No, he wasn't. He was on an SIC.
Yeah, I'd rather.
There were quite a few people on ice up.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah. And some other big news. Switching over to a bit of surf-related news. SMIC SUP is now going to be available in the UK to buy. So they're extending their distribution to the UK, which is pretty exciting for where we are based in the UK. The market here is very excited to see some SMIC boards come in. They were available quite a few years ago.
They were available, but they were harder to get hold of. But now there should be a solid distribution network, and there should be some shops, so you can definitely get hold of your SMICs, because we like them, and we've ridden lots of them, and we've advised a lot of SUPboard Pro readers, certain sizes and stuff like that. So they're very popular.
Yeah, and it's like Scotty visited us last summer, didn't he? And he's just such a passionate shaper, and he's just it's awesome to see that business is moving forward, and that great product that he's coming up in his crazy mind is getting getting under more people's feet.
And that's probably the reason it hasn't come to be more available to people is because Scotty's so focused on making the right gear. He doesn't really focus on getting the gear to the people.
He just wants to shred.
He just wants to have fun and make the best product. And that's fair enough. As we know, when you're doing a business, you've got so many things to think about. I'd rather the gear be perfect and then work from there, which is why there's a demand for it. So good to see that into the UK.
Definitely.
More people riding on that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I might just wrap up with just a couple of events that are going to be happening later on in the year. We've got the Molokai to Oahu that's coming back for 2023. So it was virtual for the last few years just because of COVID. They held off doing it last year on the island of Molokai just because of COVID and bringing kind of more people to the island. So this year it's going to be back up and running again. Be interesting to see who enters, who's going to.
It'll be really cool to see if James Casey does that on a foil, because he's never done it on a foil, and he's big name in foiling, and kind of made his name through that event for racing on the Sonova stuff, and it'd be cool to see if he does it on a foil.
Yeah, very cool. And then Beth Kirby, who's been doing a bit of whitewater content with us, she's doing a Whitewater SUP Festival at Holme Pierpont at the Whitewater course in Nottingham. Yeah. So that's coming up in May. There's a coaching in May and then some races in July.
And don't think you've got to be a super high level paddler to do that. Okay, if you want to give it a go for the first time, as long as you've got a good safety, and Beth and the team will help you get in contact with her. So much fun. So much fun.
Check out the vlog from when we went up there if you want a bit of a flavour for it. Check out some of Beth's content. But that event is you could come from anywhere from Europe. easily to that event, really close to some airports and stuff. And Beth is so passionate about whitewater, and I think it's a really exciting side of the sport. And from my point of view, when I went there, I learned so much about paddle skills that I can apply to just paddling on slow moving water on rivers and even in the surf. So many good skills. So it's certainly worth a trip and to get some coaching up there.
And it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's not like a surf event, it's like flat. It's like, it's going to be there.
Yeah, it's like going to one of the artificial waves, isn't it? It's just like, there, cool, right, let's just go again.
Yeah, except you don't have to share waves. It's just constant.
There
No, that would be a good fun, so definitely check that out.
Yeah. And lastly, this hand warmer's amazing.
Oh, good. Have you warmed up a bit?
It's so warm. It's so good. It's amazing.
Oh, I'm glad I brought you to that. You know, didn't want to see you miserable.
I know there's a whinging Pommy, but why's the whinging Aussie?
Oh, well, I mean, whinging Aussies are everywhere in the UK because it's cold.
Why'd you come in the first place then?
No, you came to us. No,
you went that way. They come back.
Yeah. But you guys have been away over the Christmas period and New Year as well. Both Portugal and a bit of Europe adventure as well.
Yeah, well, we both went to Portugal, didn't we? We went about the same time, but sort of.
We had the same time off.
Yeah,
we had to go.
I did a little bit of surfing in France, Spain, and Portugal, and I think you nailed it straight down.
I nailed it straight down to Portugal, and then just finding some nice waves and some good winging in lakes. Actually, that's one thing I didn't. I really got into winging big lakes, and because we don't have that many big lakes down in southwest Cornwall.
Yeah, it's very coastal, aren't we? Yeah.
So that was fun, but nice to find some empty waves and search out some spots. I'm not obviously going to tell you where those spots are.
Classified information.
But yeah, a great place to road trip with family as well.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, from my point, it was really nice to just get my head into some sport rather than business and sport for a good few weeks. And I really enjoyed seeing what was going on in different places through Europe and seeing what people were buzzing on, and that was pretty cool. You know, lots of surfers out there, but lots of paddleboarders too. Lots of foil action and stuff, and it's just nice to see.
Yeah, and you were away.
Yeah, I was away. I've been in Australia for the last couple of months.
Yeah, keeping his feet warm.
Yeah, visiting.
Lot of surf or not?
Friends. Not a whole lot of surf. There was quite a few waves out there. But like Will was saying, I was surprised at the number of foilers and paddleboarders, winging. It's just huge out there. I guess it's summer, it's school holidays, people are out. Windy. Yeah. There's quite a lot of wind around as well. But yeah, tons of foiling in the surf. And wing foiling too. So that was a different, because I went out there the year before and there wasn't too much going on. So it was great to see that, that side of the sport.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. Okay, so talking about work or business, even though I can't really, it's funny when you say SUPboarder, work and business, because it is work. We have got to work. We have got lots of boring stuff to do, haven't we?
Yeah.
Lots of emails, lots of videos to edit. We do a lot of fun stuff like this as well. But we've been working a lot more on a lot of different stuff this year, haven't we?
Yeah, like we've been really trying to think a little bit differently about how we reach as many people as we can, and we create the right content for what people need. We've got a relatively big challenge because the sports that we deal with in paddleboarding and foiling and winging, they're getting quite broad. There's lots of different levels in that. But one of the things that we've been doing quite a lot of recently is working with more people out in the community, in our community, as contributors. So that can be anything from, testers, where people like Gavin and Johnny are working on some really nice reviews of products for us. But we've also been working with people who are readers, like Kaz, who has done some really nice SUP workout things that people can do in the winter when perhaps they can't paddleboard in Europe. They can get fit for paddling in their own home and things like that. So that seems to be going down really nicely, doesn't it? That type of content. So if you've got any ideas of things that you would like, or people that you think should be contributing with us, or you want to contribute with us, give us a shout out, write in the comments, tell us.
That's how it all starts, really. All of these ideas that we've all had, like this show, whatever, everything has come from a reader. Everything has come from a reader asking this and asking that, and then we form most of the questions. Go, actually, we need to cover this and we need to cover that. So it is all from you all out there. So we're doing a lot of all the disciplines, but we won't be diluting. We won't be doing any less supping. We'll be doing the same amount of supping. We'll just get those like saying Blue Unit to come and do the race sup stuff. So we're going to have more content in effect, not less of doing more
just
stuff.
Making sure that we're balanced throughout the year for the right type of content. Making sure that you're getting the right type of content at the right time of the year, but also balancing it across all the disciplines.
And
also
levels.
and levels. Yeah,
a huge task.
it's a real headache to try and do. But just please let us know if you think we can do better, or you're like, oh, you should talk to this person. Yep. One of the really exciting things that I've been really enjoying watching are the interviews, though. So, Bo, you've done some fantastic interviews with various people over the last couple of months.
That's right.
So, starting with Joshua.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Joshua, he paddled 950 kilometers from Switzerland to Sweden?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Yeah. I mean, that's such a long journey. Incredible. Made his own board.
And he made his own board.
Yeah. Packed all of his stuff on there and just went off for nearly a month. Yeah. It took him to do that. But just
so inspirational.
Really inspirational.
Crazy trip. And I think anyone else who's got people they know who've done things like that, please let us know, because we will dig those people out and get them on for an interview if they're up for it.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of underground people, I'd say, that do it. Joshua did it for several different reasons, but also he just went and just did it. Didn't get any sponsorship, didn't get any flashy boards, just did it, didn't he? And
and I love that they just did it because that's what they wanted to do. So what's been going on at HQ? Obviously this time last year, we were building this building.
Building this studio,
that is our studio and an office.
We're still
is it finished?
No. It's like my house. No, it's not finished. There's still lots of stuff to do, and we've got an amazing board rack now, which is behind the camera. We'll get some shots of that. We've got some more racking to go in our containers, because some of you have been here realise how much stuff there is, and whether it's ISUP boards, foils, they're a bit of a pain because they're hard to manage, aren't they? Paddles, I've got a paddle stand with 30 paddles that are probably going to fall over and knock Will out in a minute. But yeah, there's stuff that needs to be made and put everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
we're chipping on with doing some projects here. We've got some contractors coming in. We've got some nice lights up on the ceiling that you can't see.
Yeah.
We've got a new sign.
Oh, we've got a sign? Got a sign? It's all coming together, but it takes a lot of time, because obviously you've got a lot of other content and lots of other videos, which will be predominantly I'm editing and Bo's making and recording interviews and stuff, and Will's coming up with all the clever ideas and doing a lot of the back end stuff as well. Yeah,
so if you want to come and if you've got a spade and you want to come and help,
if you want
move
a job,
some earth, come down.
I'm sure we can find something for you to do. There's lots of other stuff going on. I mean, we've potentially got some more stuff with clinics coming out. We've got there's so much stuff going on from that.
Loads of content. It's mind-blowing. Loads of stuff across all the disciplines. It's really exciting. Loads of reviews, loads of how-to, loads of interviews.
Yeah. Anyway, should we move on to some of the questions that we've answered through our Ask the Experts that we've done on SUPboarder Pro this month, or some of the questions that people have been asking over the last month and a half? Yeah. Who wants to start on that? Oh, okay, I'll start on that then. I can see it was going to be me, wasn't it? Okay, one of the because I've had more people asking the same question, so I'm not going to highlight one person out on this. One of them was around surfing ISUPs, because obviously we did the ISUP surfing test, which was really big, load of fun. We really enjoyed it. We were knackered after 10 boards in one day.
We still need to do the outtakes.
We still do need to do the outtakes of that. Yes. Okay. A lot of people asking, okay, well, I can't get hold of that board because it's out of stock, or I can't afford that board. Will this board work? Is this what's the limitations to me using a certain board? Okay, the quick rundown. Remember, if you're going for a longer board, like a 10.5 or a 10-foot board, and if it's relatively flat, there's not much rocker, nose kick or tail kick, or nose rocker or tail rocker, you're going to be able to catch waves nice and easy. You're going to paddle in nice and easy, but you're going to be limited by the size of the wave and how steep you're going to be able to take that drop in effect, or how late you're going to be able to take that wave. So if you're maybe coming into it as a new first timer, literally wanting to catch waist, knee-high waves, it's going to be fine. It's going to get you on those waves. But if you're coming into it and you want to surf shoulder, head high waves, you're going to need a board with more rocker. So that was one of the questions on rocker, and the other one was related to fins. There's a lot of boards with single fins, over 3 fins. How much is that going to limit my surfing? And again, if you're just going to be tracking along a wave and it's waist high, a single fin will be absolutely fine, and it will track you in nice and straight. But if you want to try and get onto a faster wave, those extra fins on that rail are going to give you that more grip, because inflatable paddleboards haven't got that, that nice shaped hard composite rail. They're just that round rail. Even if they've got a tail edge runner, they still have quite a thick rail. So again, it's all about what sort of wave size you're going to really want to go out in. Have you got anything to add on to that, Bo? Having used all those ice ups me on that day?
I just think that if you're getting into like SUP surfing and you're thinking about getting an ice up, it's definitely a good investment to do because they are a lot of fun and you can improve your SUP surfing on them, and they're easy to store, they're easy to transport, everything like that as well. So, and especially if you're only doing it like once a month or so, it is definitely a good thing to do. But on the contrary, definitely if you are looking at really getting into it and wanting to improve, progress, get better at SUP surfing, and continue it on and maybe surf a few times a month or even a couple of times a week, a hardboard is definitely a better investment.
It is a better investment. It's a hard one because a lot of people go, oh, the ice ups are softer, I'm not going to hurt myself or anybody else, which is a great way to think about it, because you've got to think about everybody else, especially if you're paddleboarding, because big boards, big long leashes, they go a long way. But they are actually harder to use. They're still harder to use. But when you're catching them in very small waves, it becomes not so hard, does it?
That's right.
As soon as the wave becomes a bit bigger or a bit steeper, or you're a bit later on your takeoff, and that's when the inflatable paddleboard is a little bit trickier. So just a summary on that. If you wanted if you didn't watch the SUPboarder Pro test, or you're not a SUPboarder Pro member yet, we review test loads of boards, and I give you a sort of a summary of how heavily rockered boards work well in better surf, more fins close to the edge work better at holding your grip, and then the tail runners at the back, the plastic strips you see on some of the boards do make the boards work faster and travel faster along the wave. And the thinner the boards, I find being a lighter rider helped me a lot more than the thicker base boards. And there's probably a few other sort of design constraints or things to think about. But
it was interesting when we were just testing that I'd prefer a board overused. It'd be totally different.
There's like a 10 kilo difference. It's like, oh yeah, okay, it's quite interesting on that one. But like Bo says, if you're really committed and you really are, and we do get back on this on the question, if you're usually coming to us and saying, I'm looking at this ice up, and you've already decided you need the ice up because transport storage cost, you can maybe buy an ice up for £350, but you can still buy secondhand paddleboards for that price. But obviously you've got your transport issues and stuff like that.
Very interesting, as all the tests, extremely interesting. Interesting outputs by having the opportunity to put products directly head to head. So if any of you aren't aware, all of our head-to-head tests are on SUPboarder Pro. That's really the only fair way to test gear, really, isn't it? Because you can invite everybody.
And there's going to be a lot of losers. And there's going to be a lot of people who will kick and scream and say, what? You didn't do that or didn't do that? It's like, shit. Doesn't matter. It's on Pro. You can't say anything. Basically, that's how it is. So yeah, a lot of fun. That you didn't get a chance to go on that.
I didn't know.
There would have been a lot of outtakes if Will was surfing those.
Well,
stick a foil on it. I don't know. He would have done all right.
Foiling inflatables. Yeah, actually, maybe we should do that.
Well, we did do that. But is that a test? That was a lot. I had a few questions about that as well, but I wasn't going to talk about that. Foils, inflatables, inflatable foilboards.
What you were saying around that transition between composite boards and inflatable boards is kind of relevant to one of the key questions that I've had this year from John in Norway. And he's kind of been paddleboarding for a while on a starboard touring board, which is a great touring board, but now wants to progress a little bit, go faster.
Inflatable or composite?
Sorry, he's on an inflatable,
right,
and he's looking at which one do I go to? I want a better performance, and he's looking at other inflatables, but also looking at things like starboard generation composite boards. And it's had a relatively long email thread with him talking about what does he need and what doesn't he need. And one of the things that we kind of concluded through our conversation is that actually you're always going to need that inflatable. You don't replace the inflatable. You're kind of just going to have a composite board for when a composite board works and an inflatable board for when an inflatable board works. And that's sort of where it is with surf SUPs and ice SUPs and stuff like that, isn't it?
I mean, it's obviously some people can't afford and can't store, but if you can, it is an amazing thing to have composite boards. They are fantastic.
They are game changing in terms of performance. They paddle better. When you start getting into some of the more specialist disciplines where like downwinding and things, the board releases better and it will go better. The shapes are so much better. You can go narrower, so therefore you can go faster. So, they really do complement a quiver, I think.
I mean, there's downsides to them, but For me, the only downside is putting it down in the car park. That's basically my only downside. Oh, I can't put it there. Oh, I can't put it down there.
Yeah.
With an ice up, I just sort of
drag it around.
Drag it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got one?
Yeah, I'll kind of lead on from
okay.
that. I have a question from Manfred from Germany, and it's about constructions of boards and more hard boards. But what are the different constructions and how do they feel different in the water? Is there a weight difference between them? So we're thinking of fiberglass, wood, carbon, you know, all of that different laminates that you get in a hard board, and how that's going to change your feel and performance on the water. Which was a very interesting question.
In surf? Or?
In surf.
Okay, yeah. But I guess it translates to all disciplines, racing and everything. Yeah,
that's right. But yeah, Manfred looking at a SMIC. He was already got a starboard wedge. He wants to look at the SMIC hips between it and how those might differ. I think he's got the Starlight construction in the.
That'd be a good
wedge.
combo.
Yeah, for sure. And then the SMIC, which is.
So he wasn't thinking about the Spice. He was thinking about the SMIC.
Yes, this was quite a while ago. So I think it was before the Spice.
Oh, I wonder if he's changed his. I wonder if he's.
Potentially.
Anyway, different. We're going off on different things, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's interested to know what the difference between his wood one and maybe a carbon one would feel. Obviously, the weight is going to be a little bit different. Carbon's a lighter material, but wood is a bit stronger as well. So if you have that wood maybe mixed in with carbon or a bit of glass, you're going to get a bit more durability out of that.
Which is why they brought wood into the certain windsurf boards originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it has that slightly more durable, flexible layer.
So you usually find wood underneath the standing area of quite a few different SUPs as well, because just the reinforcement there, you're obviously standing on it, and people can be heavy on their feet. So when you want to turn, it gives you a bit more reinforcement on the board.
Some more than others.
Yep. Yeah, I'll cut that out. Right. And then obviously carbon is going to give you the better performance, more lightweight, but might not be as durable. Obviously carbon is really strong material though, but you do notice some scuff marks or cracks and things happening on carbon.
And it's because it's kind of stiffer. It's the stiffness of steel, but 5 times lighter. So you get the advantages of the lightness, but sometimes being stiff isn't optimum for performance, but it does mean that it doesn't give very much when it's going to break. It doesn't give very much before it just goes pop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I definitely remember from the old days of surfing when Starboard first came out with their carbon boards. I can't remember what year I'm talking. 2012? Was that the first time? Starboard, you'll know. I remember or maybe it was the one after they came out with a really lightweight carbon board. But I remember getting on it and thinking, "Wow, this feels way too stiff."
Right.
Like, it just didn't have any give at all in the bottom turn.
Windsurfing or
no? This was SUP.
This was like the era of like the Zane Pro board and the Sean Pointer Pro boards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
2011, 2012. I had the Zane one. You had the Sean one.
Yeah, very different to the way they feel now. So basically,
they were full carbon.
Yeah, if this is going straight over your head, it's just basically when you go into bottom turn, the board will feel slightly more. It would give something back to your turn. It would be a little bit smoother. In the old days, it used to be quite. You push and they just felt quite rigid and quite. It's just different feel. And most surfers, as you know, if you're using an epoxy or a polyurethane board predominantly, isn't it? Polyester. Sorry, yeah. They definitely have a little more give to it, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
A little more
Spring, exactly. So you could think of it as recoil as well.
Recoil.
You go on your bottom turn, and the board will kind of flex, but as it recoils back to its shape, it'll give you a little bit of a spring.
Yeah.
And a bit of a squirt out to the top turn.
Yeah. But anyway, don't want to get too complicated. But even at a lower level, you would notice that if you went on a full carbon.
Definitely. Yeah.
But most time you notice it carrying up the beach though.
Yeah, definitely notice the weight. Exactly.
Putting it on the roof. Like, hey!
Yeah, for sure.
So did you kind of get to a point with Manfred that he kind of knew where to go with it?
Yeah, I think so. I think he was happy with the SMIC construction being fairly lightweight, but also durable.
Combo, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously price comes into it too. Carbon's expensive. That can be almost triple the price of some of the other boards, even from the same brands, really.
Yeah.
There's always a compromise, isn't there?
Yeah.
You make something super strong, it's going to be heavier.
That's right.
Yeah. I was just going to throw one quick word of warning, but if you're looking for a carbon board and maybe looking at certain brands, there's always a big difference between, how can I say this, how much they say is in their board and how much really is in their board. I picked up carbon boards, this is full carbon. I picked it up and like, oh, it's a lot heavier than I thought for a full carbon. Is that because there's loads of resin in it? You know, how is the quality of the carbon not as good? So sometimes you look at a brand, let's stay starboard, you know, I know that the stuff that they're putting in their board will be top end. It's top end money, but you're going to get a better carbon layup.
Yeah.
Or you would hope that it's at the best of the layup. You know, there's always the board that slips through, but generally they are right up there. But you might find other brands that you might think, well, that board's half the price, and it's still the same construction. There will be a difference. There is always a difference.
I think it's often around how much carbon is in it, because generally carbon composite laminates are a mixture of carbon and glass to get the right type of properties and some durability in there. But when a carbon paddle, for instance, says it's a carbon paddle and it's very cheap, it's probably just got a little bit of carbon in it.
Yeah, like 20%, 30%.
Yeah, and I think, you know, top end carbon paddles will be almost entirely carbon with maybe a little bit of glass in them.
Yeah, so definitely something to think about. Most of the brands will tell you, you know, this is 70% carbon, 30% carbon. It'll say it on there. That's fine.
Yeah, I think if you're buying stuff, just if it doesn't say how much carbon in it is, I think you could query that.
Yeah.
I got a great question.
Yeah,
it's actually came from a winger, John, who is in Portland in the UK. But I think it applies to every single discipline in SUP. So John was struggling with his foil setup. He's got, I think he's on some Nash kit. So he's got the Nash medium aspect foil and high aspect foil. High aspect foil is a bit more technical to use than the medium aspect one. So for those who aren't into foiling, it's just a little bit harder to fly it and not fall in all the time.
Yeah.
But John was asking whether there's something in the middle. And I was like, why? And he's like, because I'm struggling with I love the glide that this high aspect top end foil gives me, but I fall off it a lot. And what I was then explaining to him was that actually, you know, it's about like compromise. It gives you glide, but the reason it's really glidey is because it's harder to use. It's finer, and it gives it doesn't have so much wriggle room with its in terms of its window of how easy it is to use. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So often we see this type of question with readers, that actually you want to perform better, but actually you can't just buy a product to fill that gap. You've just got to put a little bit of time in.
And that's the same, yeah, like surfing, SUP surfing. Racing is a different one. Slightly, you could make a board that's faster, but yeah, technique. You could narrow a board that's too narrow, but yeah, putting the time in to get your technique solid, and then progress to the next level, will be quicker than actually jumping early and then catching yourself up.
Because I think he was just like, oh, is there something else here that can make my life easier? But it's no, these foils actually work quite nicely together, but with one comes a great advantage in terms of you gliding better and it's faster. That's always got a trade-off. Every benefit has a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
With everything, you know, and it's sort of relevant to your question around weight. Get a really light board, you're just gonna have to look after it a lot better. You might accept it, you might break it if you know, get nailed. And it's just, I think when you're out there riding or riding foils or paddling, you've just got to remember that the kit isn't the one thing that's making. You can't just change the kit to make you better. You've got to be aware of how your kit can help you perform. But
I think we're just all trained to think that something's going to help us improve rather than focusing on it. It's like, it's not us. We know how to do it. We buy something that's going to be better. And it can apply to anything, like winging, but it can apply to golf. You know, you buy
I was about to say golf club.
You know, buy a bigger driver. It's going to hit your ball further, and you can do all this stuff. But actually, you just need to work on your swing.
But it's kind of what marketing and consumerism does to us, because maybe everyone's trying to sell a benefit of a product. So we have to remember to look internally and remember that.
Well, I have to say, hopefully, from all our reviews, all reviews we've ever done, hopefully the right person buys that right product. I'm not selling it to you, and we're trying to advise you. No, back over there. You should be buying this board, not you guys, because that's way too. You know, that's what we're aiming for all the time in our reviews.
Yeah, it's a bit like, you know, the question about John and him looking, the other John in Norway who was looking to go onto a composite board. He recognised that if I go to a composite board, it's going to be better for performance, but it's not going to be good for durability as much. So it's realising that, you know, as you move forward and progress through the sport, you want to get better performance. There's going to be a trade-off somewhere, and so you can't just have that sort of that optimum, that one board,
one thing
solution.
Yeah.
The quiver killer, is it really a thing?
Yeah.
We can aspire to it, but ultimately it's really difficult for any brand to achieve.
And I think a lot of people are actually wanting that right now because there's a lot of we're all struggling a little bit more. There's a lot of financial issues going on, and reducing our kit, getting rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and having that one bit would be a lot nicer. And yeah, you can have that one bit. You just got to be realistic about what you're going to be able to do with it and how it will let you progress. And we just done that, or Will's just done a really good video with me on wing design trade-offs and speaking about how one aspect will let the wing do this, but the other side of it will allow it to not be as fast. Or if you're into winging, you've got to make sure that stuff videos on YouTube. Watch that.
Yeah, it just helps you understand where those trade-offs are.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same with the foils. If you're on a high aspect foil, it's going to be amazing, but it's going to be much harder to use. It's going to have that fine sort of window of performance.
And that's usually what, if we get back with any questions about anything and we'd ask what product or something to buy, it's usually how we get back. It'll do this really well and it'll do this really badly. And for you, it will probably do more, as long as it does more of the well stuff, then it's worth a buy. I've got a kit question. Again, it's a trade-off about gear to wear in the winter. A lot of you, obviously, it's a lot colder in the Northern Hemisphere. Do you wear a wetsuit? Do you wear a dry suit? Do you wear dry trousers? All these sort of questions.
Bo probably wears it all.
I'll take this out in the water.
You go in, you'll be like hot water bottle down. See, that'll probably make you really cold if you took a hot water bottle out. Because in the old days, I used to get into a wetsuit, into a hot shower before I went windsurfing. Have you ever done that?
No.
Oh,
okay. What's wrong with you?
It was me. Actually, and also because also if you've done this, if your wetsuit's wet already, and then you get into your instead of getting you get in the shower in the wetsuit. Anyway, short of it is, if you don't stay really hot, you actually get much colder because your temperature regulates. And anyway, so don't take a hot water bottle out.
I won't take this out with me, but I'm going to keep it here.
And that's wool, and you shouldn't get it wet. Is
that it'd be my dry suit.
Anyway, we've got to keep this video down to below an hour. So, what gear do you wear? And really, it was like, can I paddle on flat water really with a wetsuit? And the answer is yes, you can, but remember, a wetsuit is designed to really have water inside of you, stay warm. So actually you will find your wetsuit will be warmer with a little bit of water in between you and the neoprene. But the big thing is, if you're going to be paddling a lot and not getting wet, so not sup surfing, you're not falling in every 10 minutes at least, you're going to find you're going to get a lot of chafage, especially when you're paddleboarding around the arms. Maybe if you're climbing back on and off, but then just falling in, it's not too bad, but around your knees. So if you're thinking about wetsuit, because there's a lot more wetsuits available cheaper. Look, you say people go and buy a dry suit, well, they might be £500, €600. It's a lot of money, isn't it? It's the price of maybe the board they've just bought. The dry suits will always be better, and a good dry suit is a very good investment, and it's well worth it, I'd say, especially from your safety. You're going to be warm, you can easily cool off. They're pretty phenomenal now, and they are coming down in price. But there's a big difference between paddling on flat water conditions in a wetsuit compared to a dry suit. And then there's the cross between the two, where you can get the dry trousers, which works really well. Again, most of the time, if you're staying dry, if you're going to be falling in lots of the time, you will find that water will seep in around that sort of top of your waist. But for walking in the water, walking up to your knees, having a quick dunk in and out, they're a great option, and it's half the price of a dry suit, and you can always add on to it with a top layer, equivalent dry top that will sort of integrate with those dry trousers to make yourself a dry suit. So it's a compromise from money, comfort, and how cold you've been paddling in and how much you're going to be going in the water. All those sort of things.
Unfortunately, if you're paddling through a lot of seasons, you actually just need quite a few different options, don't you?
That's what I've said to a lot of people,
You can spend as much money on your clothing for comfortable paddleboarding as if not more than your board.
But it will you will have you will be able to paddle all year round.
Really extend your season.
You won't worry about it. And you will, again, I believe from the mental health, it's incredible. Just be able to go out for a paddle, not feel I was talking to you earlier about this, Bo, not feeling like, oh, it's going to be cold and miserable. Yes, it might be miserable outside, but if you're warm, you're safe, and you're cozy inside, that's a great thing to do, and you'll come back and feel so much more revived.
I went for a phase of winging in a dry suit, and I literally turn up and in my jeans and my t-shirt, And
not that we advise wearing jeans under a dry suit. Full disclaimer on that one.
Yeah, but and I was just like, this is amazing. I just like pull it on, zip it up, go, and then I'd just be straight back to
back to the emails.
Great.
In his dry suit. No, yeah, we did do that, didn't we?
Yeah. I haven't done it so much recently, but yeah, I did go through a phase.
Yeah, and they are incredible, but they do cost more money. I will actually come in a little bit. The new buoyancy aids that we've been seeing from Palm, I have just forgotten their name. How can I forget their name?
Solo?
Solo? I was going to say Solo.
Yeah,
Palm Solo.
Yeah,
Palm Solo. Do you know why? It's because I watched Star Wars Han Solo last night. I didn't think it was. A bit of a tenuous link there. Anyway, there's those ones because they're really slim fitting and they keep you so much warmer. Now I'm wearing it not because I want more buoyancy and not that I'm not confident in the water. I'm wearing it because it keeps me so much warmer, and that's what I start using a lot more now.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something you can add in, be safe, and it'll give you extra warmth. Maybe you could wear a thinner wetsuit with a buoyancy aid or add it.
It's very good nowadays. The more paddle-specific buoyancy aids. It's taken a while to be honest, isn't it? But it's really good now because they do work very well. You hardly know they're there. Yeah. So consider one.
Consider one definitely. So yeah, you've got to be realistic, and a lot of you will go paddleboarding and you don't fall in. But if the water is cold, and I'm talking
108
below 10 or something,
yeah,
cold water shock can happen within. Well, you could be in Australia and have cold water shock. Well, maybe you couldn't. No, but if it was really, really hot and there's a bigger temperature difference between 20-degree water and it's 45 degrees outside.
Yeah, I think cold water shock is all about the differential.
Yeah.
But it's really hard because it's quite easy to get warm paddleboarding when you're not in the water. It's a challenge, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a challenge. If you fall in, it will be miserable when you paddle home.
So now it's time for us to predict the future.
Predict the future. How far ahead do you want it?
Well, I want to know. I want to know how my shares are going to do. I'm retiring in. Yeah.
Are you? Retirement. That seems like a long way off.
So,
you're a lot younger than us.
Yeah, true.
You might not look it.
Cutting that out too.
Predict the future.
So it's a little bit. We get to talk to a lot of different brands and talk to a lot of people about paddleboarding, and we get to see the trends and share some of the trending things. What's cool, what's hot, what's not, and also we can have a little bit of a think about where it's all going to go. Yeah. So do you want to start with one of the things that you mentioned that you think might be quite big this year or growing?
I think it's growing. I definitely think it's growing. It's with inflatable paddleboards. It could be with composite boards, but I don't think it is at the moment. With really small, compact, lightweight, easy to travel. I mean, all ice ups are fairly easy to travel, but I'm talking like 5 kilo, 4 kilo, 3 kilo inflatable paddleboards. Super lightweight ones I would love to see, and I say they're coming. Because like SUPboarder have got this new Zen roll, which is a new way of rolling, a much more compact roll of the board. Yeah. Obviously, Red Paddle Co have got their compact boards,
which is available in like 4 different sizes.
Yeah. So a board that I think you could take for a little hike, a mission, keep it in the car all of the time. It's not obviously going to give you that top end performance. It's not going to be the fastest. It is going to bend, but it is going to get you on the water and you're going to get your paddle fixed.
In some amazing places.
Exactly. Or with the family and you're walking and maybe you're cycling and you've managed to fold your bike on. There's so much different stuff. And I think that is where it's possibly going with materials. And I think it's where it could go if the brands sort of lead that way. We would definitely like to see that because I think having a 5 kilo board at the back of my car all the time. Imagine just you're on a world trip. You just have like this board. And many miniature pump, 5-piece paddle.
Amazing. Going on overseas on an airline, it won't take up much baggage.
Yeah.
Be perfect. We did review the Indiana Feather, which was very light.
Okay, yeah, that actually is.
But it's 12.6.
Yes.
So
yes.
Put that in a compact
that was the light board. That was a very light. That was 7 kilos.
Yeah.
But like you said, for 12.6, so you could actually use that for touring. You could actually put proper stuff on it. Because before I was talking about just doing a bit of a paddle, but you could
because you could you could go for a really exciting little paddle with a 9-foot board. It just gives you that ability to get on the water, and that 9-foot board would pack up so much smaller, right? Yeah. And so it allows you to do all its little missions and things.
Yeah, and that design trade-offs everywhere. Speed, like you said, to stiffness, but that's something I think materials industry they could push towards, and I'm sure you all out there there's going to be quite a lot of you going, yeah, I could be up for buying that. I could be up for getting that. Yeah, but as long as the construction process that goes into those boards lasts a long time, because I'm fed up with these boards that are going to say, to be honest, they are sort of faded out now, but I'm fed up with these boards that maybe only have 5-6 year lifespan. A lot of boards are going down a welded seam type of technology where they're sort of getting rid of the glues. That's the way we need to see all of this kit, and that's where I would strongly say, yes, you can buy a board for £200, €300 or less, but just make sure it's going to last, because I do not want to see that board sitting in landfill, not being able to be recycled. It's just not worth it. There's thousands, hundreds of thousands of ice ups being made. We see so many coming in. Where they're going to go? Just think about that as well. That's my hopeful trend, and it is starting to happen.
Yeah. I think.
Has anybody else got one? Will, have you got one? Who's going to go? Will?
Well, yeah, I'm going to talk about foiling, because there is some big trends in foiling at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of buzz around foiling, and apologies if you're not into it, but it's
But on reflect, if you're not into it, it's getting easier.
It is getting easier. It's more accessible. Prices are coming down in some areas.
And there's second-hand kit as well.
And there's more second-hand kit, and it really does work so well with paddleboarding, which is why we cover it on SUPboarder. It is so crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, really great crossover.
Great sport, yeah. Anyway.
But one of the big things that has been going on is high modulus masts.
Okay.
Now these are very expensive masts for the top end of foiling, and we're talking lots of money.
How much are we talking?
£1,500 quid.
1,500 quid.
Yeah.
Just for the mast?
Just for the mast.
You're not getting paid this month.
Yeah. So we've got Axis's one here.
There you go.
And we've got the performance mast, which is Armstrong's high modulus mast. All about trying to get improved stiffness into the masts, which gives better performance, reduced section, so less drag when you're foiling, to just really optimize performance.
And high modulus, what's
just
that?
like it's a more expensive, stiffer carbon.
So it's relating around to the material they're talking about.
Yeah, putting better, more high quality material into it to drive better performance. Now, I've been hearing a lot about this, so went out and got a couple and been riding them. I do see a little bit of improvement, but I'm not quite sure whether it's worth it.
Oh. You're still not getting paid this month.
Full disclosure, maybe I'm not the right person to be feeding that back, because I'm light. I'm only 65 to 70 kilos.
That's a big point, actually.
I generally use quite short masts. I don't like going super long on a mast, and the maximum width I'm using on a foil is probably 95 centimeters width, and that stiffness really becomes important when you're using bigger foils and you're a bigger person riding.
So why did they have to go down? Is this a marketing thing why they went high modulus? Why did they do it?
No, I think they're trying to get better performance. I do believe that's what they're trying to do. So, for instance, Armstrong's system is known as being a little bit of a flexible system. For me, never really felt that it was a problem. But for bigger guys, I know that their feedback is that they want to go, they go away from their Armstrong system because it's not as stiff. I would say that this one I do notice a little bit more than I can feel on an Axis system. I would love to know and see some real solid data about whether these are actually stiffer or whether it's just a load of marketing fluff.
I'm just noticing something now looking at the masts. I noticed that the Armstrong, it gets narrower as it gets down toward the
bottom.
I know what that's called.
What do you want to call it?
Bo doesn't fuselage. That's
Bo doesn't foil. If you haven't guessed this.
The fuselage.
Yes, you have got on a foil.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
a couple times. Yeah.
That would definitely affect the stiffness, right?
Yeah.
The flex.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why it does it actually. It might be to reduce drag, less in the air, less down there.
Yeah. I am actually going with Bo. I thought Army put that on to help give it a slight flex at the bottom. Because this is coming more of a surf. Well,
definitely more of a
surf. Yeah. So if you're surfing and definitely talking about fins or what you recoil, that whole flex sort of movement, carving back and forth. I personally like more of that in my foil. I would guessing because that's the sort of thing I like with my surf.
Yeah.
But if I was winging,
is
that?
I think it all comes back to the same things that we've been talking about today. It's all about is stiffness really that important to you as a rider?
Mm-hmm.
If you're just blasting and you want to beat your mates and like in a straight line, then probably stiffness is quite important, because you're going to go maximise the amount of power that you get from your wing into the water to start moving. Through you into the to move. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's what you said.
But if you're not really, if you're more surf orientated, bit of flex, is it a bad thing? And so just think about it, like in terms of if you're thinking about buying this stuff, like, is what you've got, I'm doing a lot of sup surf foiling at the moment, pumping out, linking 2-3 waves sometimes if I'm lucky, and I jumped on a couple of these, and I'm not seeing like it's massively changed my ability to ride. So did I need to invest?
Did we need to invest?
So no, I mean, I just it's I'm not saying that they're not. I'm sure there is something there.
Should you just work on your technique?
Yeah. I just fell for it. I just fell for it completely.
Right back to the beginning conversation.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But I think ultimately, like, I did. Yeah. It's so tricky.
I think we should put this out there to the riders above 85 kg. If you've ridden any of these high or gone down this route, and if you notice any difference, especially if you're in the 100 kg winging point of views, that's the thing I think you need, and that's where I think there will be.
Anybody, please comment if you've got feedback and you're willing to not. I don't want you just to be backing your purchase.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be really honest. Has it made a difference?
One other thing I want to flip into that conversation: what happens if you had a bigger, more wider, highest ratio of foil on the front, opposed to what you're riding there, which is what?
So you're getting more leverage for. So it's more important, which is what you're generally going to be riding if you're doing, if you're bigger, or if you're doing more kind of downwind or pump foiling on flat water type stuff. So the width of the wing is going to become more important. Also, if you're on a longer mast, the stiffness of that mast becomes more important, which is why I said, sort of full disclosure, I'm using relatively short masts and relatively small wings. So, but I'm a little bit below the average, but I'm not that much below the average. So what I'm sort of saying.
IQ or weight? Sorry, open that one. Weight. Yeah. No, yeah. I think it's going to be great to hear what people think.
Yeah, I'd love to get some feedback from everybody, what their experience is with these hugely expensive masts.
Yes. But they look nice.
Is the flex and stiffness in the mast, is that a new thing that foilers are kind of, thinking about now? Because I knew it was all about the front wing size, then it's all about the rear wing size, then it was all about the fuselage size, now it's all about how long the mast is, and then now it's the stiffness. Is it just going to be something next, or is this?
I think it's a component of everything. Okay. Like these things, like they're like aircraft level. Like, small changes make such a big difference to how it feels. Like, it blows my mind how long it takes me to get used to one foil. If I'm like testing a foil and jump onto another one, I'm like, it's really crazy small differences. So I think it's all evolving a bit, and the foil brands who are really doing proper development, I think, are just trying to get a better product.
I mean, these two are a good example of this, Armstrong and Axis. With Kiwi foils, and actually, from my point of view, to come in with that question you just asked, Bo, I remember they have both different feels, these two, polar difference on their masts. And they were talking about this, Andrew from Axis was talking about this, Adrian was talking about this years ago. So it has been on, they have been talking about flex and mast flex.
I think, the development probably takes a lot of time, a lot of testing, because it's so dynamic. You can only change one thing at a time. So they're probably like changing things to bring out new products when they're ready, and then they're like, right, we've gone from wings, let's now go on to mast, develop mast. And they do, they're a business, they do need to feed they have product strategy, and they'll be like, right, we'll get everyone on front wings, and then we'll get everyone on mast, and then we'll get everyone back onto fuselages, because they need to keep selling. Otherwise they go out of business, right?
Sure, when they change the mast, they're like, oh, the front wing is changing now, and then this, and then so. I think it's great that the development is really surging forward with it.
Well, you got to remember, this is so new though.
Exactly.
It's like yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. These things were just aluminium.
Yeah. Bear in mind, you can still use 2 bits of plywood. That will work as well.
Yep.
Obviously, no performance there, but it will get you up on the foil. I've seen people do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's big old changes, and it's good to see where it all goes.
Yeah.
And then there's lots more disciplines as well. We've got stuff like downwind foiling and all that sort of stuff, which we're going into as SUPboarder. We're going to cover a lot more content. We won't talk about that so much now, but that's coming out. That is going to be coming out.
New disciplines appearing, becoming more accessible. Yeah, it's all very exciting in the world of foiling with a paddle.
With a paddle, definitely. Have you guys got anything else to bring into this highly riveting conversation that hopefully people are still watching?
Hopefully
you found it interesting. Hope you've been drinking a beer or having a cup of tea. Do you like tea, Bo?
Yeah. Herbal teas.
Herbals. Such a classic Aussie, isn't it?
I've been off the
If
caffeine
he
for a
goes
while,
and says,
so hang on.
do you go home to your mates and say,
I drink herbal tea now,
have
guys.
you got a herbal tea?
That's it. No,
Yeah. He's a precious little soul.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a new sort of format, new style show. We're probably going to stick with the name of the paddle and foil show. But
Yeah, let us know what you think.
let us know what you think. Comments, feedback of all products, questions, as always, get them in the comment section below. Get on SUPboarder Pro if you've got loads more questions about technique, and there's infinite, if you've got loads of questions about stuff, just get onto that. We'll happily spend hours and threads of emails to get you on the right kit or get you learning.
Yeah, there's so much content there as well. There's hundreds and hundreds of extra videos that will keep you busy in front of your computer or phone for hours and hours. Frothing on equipment and technique and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Right, thank you. We'll see you later.
Ciao.
Bye.